The American people want Congress to focus on one thing above all else: jobs. Jobs. You'd think the Democrats who control the Senate would want to help us advance bipartisan ideas to boost job creation. You'd think they'd actually work with us to address the concerns and anxieties of our constituents. But instead, Senate Democrats are pushing legislation this week that would actually cost, not create, but actually cost up to 1 million American jobs. This is completely tone deaf. Their bill would cost up to 17,000 jobs in Kentucky alone. And apparently this is what Senate Democrats have made their top priority. Not much of a surprise, though. As I've said many times, Washington Democrats often seem to hurt the very people they claim to be fighting for. When it comes to so many of their proposals, Washington Democrats appear to prioritize the desires of the far left over the needs of the middle class. And let's be honest, the interests of the far left and the interests of the middle class seem to be in fierce opposition these days. Take the Keystone Pipeline, for example. The Obama administration recently announced yet another punt on this critical jobs project, one that would lead to the creation of thousands, literally thousands of good jobs. Why? Because of pressure from the far left. One union leader called the administration's decision a cold, hard slap in the face for hardworking Americans. Another labor leader, whose union endorsed the president twice, put it this way: no one seriously believes that the administration's nearly dark of night announcement was anything but politically motivated. It represented, he said, another low blow to the working men and women of our country for whom the Keystone XL pipeline is a lifeline to good jobs and to energy security. Here's a project the government has been studying for 5 or 6 years now. 5 or 6 years they've been studying this project. Americans have learned that building Keystone would produce significant economic benefits for our country, that it would lower energy prices, and that it would lead to the creation of thousands of jobs at a time when we need them more than ever. And President Obama's own administration has concluded that approving Keystone would not significantly impact net carbon emissions anyway. Improving the project wouldn't have an adverse impact on carbon emissions. So you'd think Washington Democrats would join the large majorities of Americans who say that Keystone is a good deal for our country. You'd think they'd jump at the chance to advance sound policy that's already been thoroughly vetted. But then you'd be missing the point, because Democrats' opposition to Keystone isn't really about policy at all. They're basically surrendered the policy argument a long time ago. That's not really what this is about for them. Remember, this is the same party that effectively conceded that its agenda for the rest of this year was drafted by campaign staffers. The whole agenda for the rest of the year drafted by campaign staffers. They said that. So for them, this is more about politics and symbolism, and the far left has apparently decided that killing Keystone is the symbolic scalp that they want. In fact, they're demanding it. Washington Democrats seem perfectly willing to go along. Of course, the big loser in all of this is the American middle class, the moms and dads and sisters and brothers, whose primary concern is paying the bills and putting food on the table. The kind of people who've had it worst in the Obama economy. The very people Washington Democrats should be doing literally everything to help. What I'm saying to my colleagues today is this: it's not too late. You can still work with Republicans to create more opportunity and help us rebuild the middle class. But to do so, you need to abandon the left and start focusing on the middle class for a change. And if you're ready to get serious about job creation, then there are some easy ways to demonstrate that to the American people. For starters, you can stop pushing legislation that would cut rather than create jobs, and you can stop blocking projects like Keystone things that almost everyone knows will create jobs. Americans want jobs, not symbolism. So start working with us to give the American people the kind of pro-jobs policies they want and deserve.